Welcome to The Holistic Nurse with your host, Peggy Smith. Peggy will introduce and educate her viewers about the differences between alternative, holistic, and complementary medical therapies. Her goal is to empower the lay medical consumer to learn how to advocate for themselves. So now, please welcome the host of The Holistic Nurse, Peggy Smith.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of The Holistic Nurse with Peggy Smith. On this platform, we try to educate holistic and alternative choices that'll help us create and maintain a healthier life at our day-to-day as we go throughout the day. And my definition of holistic includes all aspects of our daily lives and the challenges that we face. Before I introduce today's guest, I would like to give a shout out to one enterprising young woman from Salem, New Jersey. Her name is Azaria. She's 15 years old and about to enter high school. And she's extra special because she was born with many physical challenges that if she only had one would be overwhelming for a person. And she's learned due to the loving experiences in her family that it's her responsibility to manage her health and responsibilities. And her goal in life is to continue her education and become perhaps a social worker at the Children's Hospital so she can encourage other children that are going through challenges of any kind and let them know that, just you're not disabled, you just have different abilities. And that's what she focuses on. That's how she views herself. She's a great help to her mom with her younger siblings, doing great in school. And I just want to, Azaria, you're doing a great job. I can't wait to see the end of the story because you're going to be helping a lot of people in your life. Congratulations. Today, we're going to be joined by David Burke. David is a father, an advocate, and founder of a technology company, Smart CareGenius. It's a technology initiative that's focused on helping individuals with autism and other developmental differences to help them build greater independence in their daily lives. It's been a very personal journey for David because his family has been raising their son, Jonathan, who has autism and complex developmental needs. And through this Smart CareGenius, David is exploring how intelligent technology can support everyday routines, reduce the caregiver burden, and help individuals live greater dignity and independence. So, welcome, David. I'd like to welcome you to our show today. It's exciting to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. And firstly, thank you, Peggy, for allowing me to be on the show and have this opportunity to speak. I have been in the corporate world for about 40 years and left that a couple of years ago so we can focus our attention more on this personal avenue that I've taken to help Jonathan and help kids and people like Jonathan. I have a family of four. So, starting with my wife, Lula, who's also a nurse, an RN. Um, she does some notary on the side, but she's really the glue that holds the whole family together. I also have a daughter, Yvonne, that just finished writing her or taking her MCAT exam. She's very interested in becoming a physician, hopefully specializing in orthopedic surgery, which is what she wants now. But she just wrote her MCATs and she's on pins and needles. She probably did well, but it's just a matter of how well she did because she'd like to stay at a certain school. So that leaves Jonathan. Jonathan, now 21, has been on the autistic spectrum from the age of 2. And unfortunately, he's lower functioning. So he needs care 24/7. Um, and that was really what sparked us to think about what are some of the ways that we can leverage technology in order to help improve his quality of life because both myself and my wife, we're not going to be around forever, and we do believe he's going to need some support for the rest of his life. And there's not a whole lot out there. There's some gizmos and gadgets and and some technologies, assistive technologies out there, but nothing that really helps with his day-to-day activities of daily living. So it was for that reason that we said, with my interest in innovation, my interest in technology, our need for helping care providers, we really needed to create something that hadn't existed before. And that's why we created Smart CareGenius that you'll hear a little bit more about in the coming few minutes.
So, most of us have somebody in our families, that fit this description. Back when my kids were growing up, you were just learning disabled or whatever. I remember getting a letter from one doctor at Temple University telling me they were 90% sure my son wasn't, quote, mentally retarded, terms that we don't use nowadays. I knew that he was extremely bright, he just was learning in different ways. Um, Help the listeners understand that what it's like to live with these challenges.
Yes, I think what many people don't realize is what goes on behind the scenes, the constant prompting that you need to do in order to get him to do what most people would consider to be relatively simple things. Whether it's eating, you have to get him to sit down, you have to bring him to the table, have to make sure that he eats,
Holistic nurse
he
with your
eats
host.
well.
Peggy will introduce.
And a lot of behind the scenes thing, as you see in the picture on the right, just taking him for a walk. What does that mean? That means he has to find his hat. He needs to put on his coat. He needs to put on his shoes, and just getting him to do some of these things that you would assume would take a minute or two, sometimes 15, sometimes half an hour. So it's the constant prompting. It's the constant making sure that he has everything that he needs. It's the constant care that is really something that you just can't quit. You have to continue and make sure that he has everything he needs on an ongoing basis. Now, it's not all bad. You can see the picture in the middle. We have our moments where he's very cooperative. He's trying his best.
Before I
And
introduce today's guest, I would like to give a shout out to one.
well, seems to have a little bit of technical difficulties, but that's okay. But I think the point, Peggy, is people don't seem to realize how much it takes day in, day out. And that's on the parents, that's on the care providers, because we live in a relatively rural or suburban area, and it's tough to get a lot of the care providers to come out this far, number one. And when they do come out, there's a difference in consistency on their approach to things. Sometimes we get really good ones. Sometimes we get some that are not quite as good. And even among the very good ones, there's, as I said, a difference in the consistency. And because this particular role asks for consistent, ongoing support and vigilance, uh, people tend to burn out. They get tired, they get fatigued, and turnover is actually very, very huge. So anything that we can do to help care providers is something that's going to help Jonathan, and that's what we're all about, trying to increase their independence while decreasing the burden on the care provider.
I remember I was a special ed teacher in my career before 45 years of nursing, and I was working at a residential school for this population. And we would work so hard Monday through Friday to get them to be able to hold a fork and, complete a meal. And then they'd go home for the weekend, and come Monday, we'd start all over again, but that's just the reality. And, it takes, I think, the universe gives special parents, the perseverance and what you need to be able to do it, but it's still very difficult. Um,
Very true, very true. And consistency plays a huge role because some that go to school, they're able to do some tasks at school, but then when they get home into a different setting, all that new skills, all that development sometimes just goes away. So I absolutely agree with what you said.
so, how do you get that consistency? And how do you take, even more important, how do you and your wife take care of yourselves? Because
Hmm.
I think that's got to be a big component to
That
do this.
is a huge component because, again, eh, you're not allowed to get tired. You can't really have a day off, especially if there's no one else looking after Jonathan. So, in the days where we don't have any type of care support, we do a divide and conquer. Like she'll take a turn at the beginning, I'll take a turn closer to a middle and end of the day, and we just make sure everything gets done because quitting is not an option. But we take care of ourselves by having a little bit of respite whenever we can, taking a break, celebrating the small wins that Jonathan has, and then making sure that his sister takes part in all of these. And he loves his sister. I think his sister loves him. It's a great thing, but we need to make sure that she's focused on her growth and her career and what she needs to do, even though she knows in the back of her head that she will have some role with Jonathan uh, for forever.
It's that you bring up a good point. I've met a lot of people that, if you have a special child in your family, it's a big challenge for the parents to make sure that all of the children in the family have equal attention. And it's so easy. In fact, I remember one of my children that were very, very bright, and then supposedly I had a quote normal child who ended up having a lot more issues as we've discovered
Mm.
growing up. But the pediatrician kept saying, "You just don't know what it's like to have a normal child." And, so I kind of learned that, again, follow your gut, your intuition, and fight for your child if something doesn't seem right. I think the pediatricians are more attuned to this now. Um, there's all kinds of some controversial theories of how Jonathan got to this point, how he entered our world with these issues. But he's here, and you have to give him the best life that you can without sacrificing the rest of your family. It sounds
Absolutely.
like, so this smart care genius, is that like a special AI that's meant just for your needs and feel? Like, we're all still leery of AI and not sure what it really is. How did you know to use this in such a wonderful way?
Well, it was born out of need, absolute need, and taking a business approach as well to say to yourself, there's technologies that are out there that can help. How do we shape it? How do we provide the right guidance and guardrails so we're leveraging it appropriately and not becoming slaves to the technology itself? So that's one of the reasons we have shaped Smart CareGenius to be a tool and assistive technology to care providers, not replace care providers at all, because we need the human touch. We need the care providers to support Jonathan ongoing, and that's how Smart CareGenius was designed. It's a smart, intelligent platform that allows for ADLs or um, activities of daily living to provide guidance on how to do these things, to be able to share alerts to care providers if he's not doing things properly, and provide reports at the end of the day to say this is how well he's doing, this is what he still needs help with. And those reports can be accumulated over weeks and months so that you can actually track progress and have discussions with therapists, with schools, with whoever you have to have those based on data. And that was really the need that brought Smart Care Genius to life. It's the need to increase the independence of Jonathan while decreasing the burden on whoever's taking care of him, including ourselves.
That's wonderful. We're going to take a brief break at this point, and we'll be right back to talk more about it. Thank you.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back to The Holistic Nurse with Peggy Smith and our guest David Burke, who is a father of a neurodivergent son and an advocate, and coming up with some looking for resources, and has got something in the works, not quite out there in the market yet. But tell us more about where we picked up, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, no problem at all. And I think very shortly we're going to queue up an animation, because they say that a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, then an animation must be worth 100,000 words. So it'll share a little bit on how it works. I'll walk you through kind of a quick algorithm on how it works as well. But I think the key thing is it's able to watch, monitor a situation, and provide verbal guidance as to how to complete a certain task, or ADL, and then be able to alert a care provider if, in fact, the individual is having difficulty with that task. Care provider would come and fix the situation, and then continue on with the task at hand. Reports can be generated so that we can see exactly where they're having trouble, where they need help, and just as importantly, where they're having success, so we can track progress, which is the data part of all of this.
So I guess I'm trying to visualize, because in my experience, of course, back when I was teaching, we had handmade communication boards, and that's yeah. And then I was so excited to see the electronic ones once I was a nurse and was working with this population again. So I'm having trouble visualizing what this technology
No,
looks like.
no issues. Why don't we go to the next slide, and we can
Okay,
take a look at some of the how it works.
great.
Okay, I can briefly talk to this one before we get right into it. So some of the challenges that many of the individuals have is with the frequent prompting. So things like washing hands, brushing teeth, getting dressed take a great deal of time. So if we could take that away from the care provider, the repetitiveness of their job, then they can have the opportunity to pursue something else during that time frame, but also be available for the person who is neurodivergent. So if we go to the next slide, this is kind of a quick summary, Peggy, which
Okay.
shows it's intelligent, smart technology that helps them through their everyday routines. It increases their independence and decreases the stressors on care providers. The great news is we're able to download it to any device, whether it's a laptop, a iPad, or I should say a tablet, or any type of phone, Android or Apple device. And the benefit is you get to observe the routine. You get guidance for the participants step by step. Uh, it only provides prompts when needed. And that's a great point right there, that it's able to adapt. Doesn't matter the level of the individual, whether it's high functioning, not quite as high functioning. If they're doing something right, they won't be prompted, only congratulated. If they're not doing it right, then they'll get a voice command suggesting a better way to do it. So I think the key is going to be the next slide, which is the animation.
Caring for an autistic or neurodivergent loved one can be incredibly rewarding, but it can also be exhausting. Daily routines like brushing teeth, getting dressed, or staying on schedule often require constant reminders and support. And as a parent or caregiver, that weight never really goes away. That's the tie we created Smart CareGenius. This a compassionate, smart solution designed to help your loved one build independence, whilst quietly supporting you in the background. Through gentle prompts, encouraging feedback, and timely updates, Smart CareGenius helps reinforce everyday routines without needing to step in every time. You'll get helpful insights and peace of mind. Your child gains confidence and connection and togetherness, and care teams can spend more time connecting, not just correcting. Whether you're at home, in school, or a group setting, Smart CareGenius brings thoughtful structure and support where it's needed most. Their peace no one should have to do it all alone.
So I've walked through this already, but let's take everybody together through this process. If we focus on um, the square that's at the top, the highest one in the middle, this is suggesting that the tool is able to privately detect actions of the user using camera technology, and it'll recognize what they're doing. It'll process the actions in real time. And if we go to the bubble to the left, this is where, if they're having difficulty, the system will send guidance to the user on how to do it. And this is, again, real time. If we take a look at the square all the way to the right, it also can send text messages to the care provider in real time that'll inform them that, or I should say, if the individual needs attention. If they're not doing it right, they fail a task a number of times, the care provider will receive an alert. They can come back and help them through whatever tasks that they're working on. And then I mentioned a couple of times already the bottom square, which lets you know that analysts, a detailed analytical report for the day, the week, the month is created, which will just help chart progress, helping the individual to independence. And because this all is around an ADL, or an activity of daily living, the care provider burden is decreased to some degree as well. So that's really, in a nutshell, how it works and what we've been able to do, leveraging not a technology, but a number of technologies and complexities to get this to work the way that it does. I think others might be able to hear, but I unfortunately cannot.
Yeah, I definitely could use
Sure.
technology help here. Okay. My experience with children in this population that have been nonverbal lot of the general public assumes because they're not communicating verbally that they don't know what's going on. One uh, m- situation that comes to mind, I had a young boy who's now actually about the age of your son. Uh, but when he was 6, 7 years old, he was getting a monthly immune infusion. And I had to put a peripheral IV in him. And I said, where do we put it? And he pointed to his mother's arm. And it let me know, okay, he's not talking to me, but he can certainly communicate and understand. Um, so that he would be more cooperative. I used to go to his house in Cookie Monster pajamas. We did the infusion in the evening before he went to bed because it was a lengthy infusion. And if he cooperated, Cookie Monster went to bed with him, and then mom would wake me up when he was asleep. And uh, yeah, so it's, a lot of people don't realize that just because outwardly they're not communicating the way we do, they definitely can get their needs mentioned, and they have feelings um, and they have pain and things too. I think the population, the medical field has much improved the way they approach this population. But I remember once sending someone to the ER because he needed stitches, and the documentation that came back did not tell me what kind of anesthetic they used. So I called the doctor in the ER, and he said to me, I was horrified. Well, these people can't feel pain. And he got his license reported to the medical board because that was just outrageous. But it showed the need for educating people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And there's still a lot of challenges. I'm wondering, the prompts that the individual gets, are they verbal? Because they may not
Yeah.
be able to read, what
Yes,
we're
it's
reading.
all verbal. There is some written communication on the side of the screen, but it's all verbal. It's designed to be a very verbal and interactive system. So they'll rely on hearing what it is they should be doing. And one of the parents that I'm working with right now, who's testing it, suggested this is a fantastic thing because sometimes with their child, they tend to get upset at the care provider telling them what to do on an ongoing basis. With Smart CareGenius, there's no one to get upset at. So it ended up being a very, very good thing for this one family.
But too, that as these children are reaching adolescence, they may not communicate in traditional ways, but they're still experiencing a lot of the traditional adolescent type feelings and rebellion. And I want to do it myself, let me do it, even if I'm going to screw it up. Um, so, people realize they're not that different from us,
Very true.
people that are so-called normal.
Yep,
Um, and it's easy to forget because, or sometimes you look at the older nerd and you're expecting more from them than they're capable of. There's not a one size fits all with this population.
that's true.
Uh,
And I think that's why we're hearing more use of terms like differently abled as opposed to disabled. Right? Because they
that's
can do a lot more than a lot of people think, but we just have to give them the right tools in order to build their independence. And if we can do that at the same time that we're decreasing burden on the care providers and releasing them to do other beneficial things, that I think it's a win-win.
absolutely it is. So we obviously this will and the family so far have been very happy, the feedback that you're getting. When do
Yes.
you expect that this would be something that's available? Oh, we're going to take a quick break right here before I get you into that question. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, Belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to the Holistic Nurse. We're with Mr. David Burke, a father and an innovator for the neurodivergent population as he searched for answers for his family's needs. Go ahead, David. What would you like to do next?
Sure. If we can go to the next slide here. So I know we talk little bit about the family's needs. We talked about the tool, but I think this slide kind of answers why this matters. Why is this such a good thing? And I think the answers are written right here, right? So we want to encourage participant independence, right? So the more that we can leverage tools like this, the more we can have the consistency in the approach, the more independence we can build. We also want to reduce repetitive tasks from the care providers, whether that's the parents or trained care providers, and we want to improve consistency of the daily routines, right? So support staff, they can focus on other meaningful engagements as opposed to having to repeat and do the daily prompts over and over again. So what Smart CareGenius does, and what our partnership with some of the schools does as well, is it allows the family to explore the benefits in real world environments, whether that's in the school, in home, or in any group settings that they have. So if we can go to the next slide, this is where we are, Peggy. So we're in pilot phase. So we have working prototypes, numerous ADLs. But what pilot allows us to do is have a small group of individuals, right? Because everyone is not at the same level or same ability level. So we want to test different ability levels. We want to test it in small group settings, whether that's school, residential, or family homes. And we want to make sure that the groups that we're working with will help provide input, which is critical because we're designing and building this with the input of the autistic or neurodivergent community. So it's something that's going to work for us because it's being built by us. And then the pilot partners get a chance to influence some of the future ADLs. Where do we go next? How do we build something else that's good? What's the next step? And again, we do everything in a very secure, a structured manner because security is very important for anything that involves technology. So I think this answers the question, Peggy, about where we are and what the ask is. And I think the ask revolves around any school autistic programs, any agencies that deal with these kind of individuals. Would love to partner with you, chat with you, and eventually start a pilot with you as well. So if you can go to the next slide very quickly. What's the outcome? What do we expect to get from these pilots? We want to be able to chart completion and improvements of their routines. We want to be able to chart how much of a reduction in repetition is the staff exhibiting or witnessing. We want the participant independence to be charted as well, and we want the staff feedback so we can design future things. So this is all very data driven, and as opposed to just qualitatively somebody feeling like they're feeling better. We want to be able to prove it from a data perspective. So pilots are critical, and that's where we are right now. We have a few of them underway right now. So we're looking for groups first, so schools, agencies, any number of individuals that we can go to. We're also looking for families as well. So maybe at the end, when we give our contact information, if you believe that you would like to participate, I'll be happy to take that information.
Okay, so this is something that could be available for people maybe that have already aged out of traditional programs, and maybe they're almost, I don't like the term borderline, but they're on the periphery of qualifying and just on the wrong side of that periphery. So they're struggling at home by themselves, or maybe.
Great point, Peggy. Thanks for bringing that up because it's really for a wide group of individuals. Some folks say that, hey, this will be great for my neurotypical young kids to help them do some of these tasks. Some say this will be great for, folks that just need a gentle reminder. Either they're on their own, as you're saying, maybe they've aged out, they're a little older, they're on their own, and they just need reminders to do a number of things. This can help them as well. And somebody even mentioned, hey, Dave, what about the elderly population with dementia and Alzheimer's? But right now, we're just focused on neurodivergent individuals. I think eventually we'll get to the wider group. But yes, it's got potential application for broad usage.
So you obviously come from a background that was working with a lot of evidence-based skills and procedures and everything. I'm gathering. Um, and do you have corporate sponsors? I mean, how is this funded?
So
Because obviously,
this is great. Great questions. The sponsorship right now is at a private level. So I have private advocates that are interested that have sponsored the work that had to be done up to this point. Once we go commercial and we finish our pilots, we have proof of concept that we can do the things that we really wanted to do, and that is improve the independence while lowering the burden on care providers, then I think is going to be the time that we'll be seeking broader investment from number of individuals and groups. But right now, it's all about proof of concept and making sure that we can actually bring a product to market that can prove that it's effective at both of those, either one or both of those uh, uh, hypotheses that we have.
okay, I know how challenging it is to get our traditional insurance providers and things to even sometimes get a walker or a cane, commode. Do you anticipate that you'll have the support of, or we don't do politics here, but our ever dwindling access to insurance, uh, your coverage and things like that, or you
So
expect little?
not there yet, unfortunately, Peggy. But with the proper data, there's no reason to believe that we wouldn't. So it's just a matter of having the right proof of concept to prove the right things. Can we actually help in certain areas? Can we actually improve the output that everyone's looking for? And I think once that's done, then we can start to seek the other more commercial aspects of it. But not quite there yet.
One big benefit I see right off the top is as you foster more independence, then it is less of a burden on those insurance companies and social services that uh, just don't know what to do once you get to this point. It's very frustrating. Now you're from the general Philadelphia area. Are you working with pilots all across the country, or are you still just local with this?
So we started off local, and so far we have two groups that are relatively local. There's another group who will probably come on soon. but that's way out in Florida. And we have another group that is expressed an interest, and they're in I believe it's the Pittsburgh area, but I'll have to double check.
Okay. Yes, I had a family member with a child in this classification, and I was surprised when Florida is really leading the country in a lot of innovative things for this population. Um, so, and all of those local partners you're probably with, I probably at one time or not in my career have worked for them. Uh, so,
Yeah.
but so
So,
what
but
would you recommend for parents and all that, want to get some hope and in your journey with your son before you got to this point, like, what what did you do to survive? Getting him the thing is it's did you have an advocate or how did you learn to advocate for yourself? I guess mothers or what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. It's the whole premise here.
Absolutely. So you're absolutely right with that. Necessity is the mother of invention, and I happen to have a very excellent wife who has been pushing for Jonathan from day one, and we all push in our different ways. But she's the biggest advocate that anyone could possibly have. Um, we benefited because we had some good input on where to go for some of his resources. He was part of the school board, and he's going to be aging out. What's the date today? He's going to be aging out in just a couple of weeks. So he's going to be in a different snack bracket. So I've been attending a number of conferences to really learn and hone what we should be doing, where else we should be looking. So I can't say that we're experts, but pretty well versed with where we need to go and what we need to do. And that's why I'm able to focus my attention on the Smart CareGenius and being able to help the ones that help my son the most, which are the care providers.
Right. One of the challenges I found when I needed to, get services for a son, and I know you're familiar with the one that has various sites in Westchester and Marsh Creek and things like that. My son actually was in a residential program for a couple years down there in Marsh Creek. But it was so frustrating that I couldn't get him the help unless I got him the labels. And
Mm.
I'm sure you went through that. Tell parents, why that's okay, and necessary.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the way the system works, right? Unless he or she is characterized a certain way, then they don't really apply, or they're not able to receive certain help. So labels are, I won't say they're our friends, but they're sometimes necessary in order for us to get the resources that we are looking for. Um, you could look at different things. I think people have been renaming things for a while. You hear the term IDD, you hear neurodivergent, you hear autistic, you hear a number of different things. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what it's called. I think what really matters is, do you have the resources that you need in order to build that independence? And do you have the resources you need to give yourself a little bit of respite? Give yourself a little bit of a break so that you can continue on for longer periods without issue.
So many of my viewers will ask questions, on the YouTube page. If somebody has a specific question, is it all right if I forward them to you and maybe you could, connect people to something in their area?
Please do.
I know it is very challenging. And one of the challenges I see both with geriatric care and and the population like this is that it's hard for parents to trust the caregivers.
Mm,
So we actually going to go to our final break right now, and then in the closing, I guess you can talk more about how people should get in touch with you.
perfect.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Welcome back to the Holistic Nurse. I'm with David Burke, who is an advocate for the neurodiverse population, and this has been Autism Awareness Month, the month of April. So I wanted to bring this out. And David, why don't you go ahead and close with everything you want to, final messages you want to give people?
Sure. And I'll do it by way of a quick recap. So again, out of necessity with my son, we find that care providers are overburdened. Number one, there's unfortunately a lack of consistency with their approaches because different people handle things in a different way. So one way to try and decrease the burden is to leverage smart, intelligent technology in order to help with the burden of their activities of daily living. So things like washing hands, brushing teeth. By doing this, we're also increasing the independence of the participant, and at the same time decreasing the burden of the care provider. So I explained a little bit about how it works and the stage of development where we are, where we do have our prototypes and we're in pilot phase. My request is that if you are part of a school board, and can give me the right contact person, I'd be happy to try and partner with that school in order to get the input from pilot participants and the schools in order to further develop these ADLs, to fine tune, customize in real world settings so that the finished product is something that we've developed for us, by us, basically. So with that, why don't we go to the next slide, if you don't mind? Here it is. So autism doesn't just affect individuals. It shapes the entire rhythm of a family's life. And I know we've lived it. A number of folks in our neurodivergent community say the exact same thing. So it changes our day. And so anything that helps with how we manage that is going to be very beneficial. So it's a good use for technology. The second thing is independence isn't built in big moments. It's built in thousands of small routines every day, like these ADLs, these activities of daily living, the washing hands, the brushing teeth, the putting on shoes, a number of different things. So that's the second area that Smart CareGenius plays a role because it helps with these activities. It helps increase the independence of the participant while decreasing the burden as well. And this is at home, this is in schools, this is in group settings, group homes, whatever you want to use it. And that's why we're in need of pilots across these different groups so that we can get the data to show that not only it works, but it works well, and a finished product for commercialization. And I think the last one quote is my favorite. Technology shouldn't replace caregivers. It should give them a partner. And I think that speaks for itself, because the personal touch, the caregiver touch, is absolutely critical, especially for kids like my son, who will have care providers for the rest of his life. We shouldn't be seeking to replace that wonderful tool, asset, resources that we have in care providers, but we should be seeking to provide them with tools, and that is the sweet spot for Smart CareGenius. We hit the
And I
last slide.
think,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just going to mention people are so afraid sometimes of, AI in quotation marks. This is a fantastic, healthy use for AI that, we should embrace. Um, Go
Well,
ahead.
thank
I
you.
see you have your contact here.
Yep. So if there are questions, or if you are part of a school system, autistic focused, or an agency, and you want to chat a little bit more, potentially partner, and get to the point where we are doing pilots, then please write me at info@smartcaregenius.com. If you need more information, please go to the website, smartcaregenius.com, and I'll be happy to engage, interact. And Peggy, if anyone writes into you, that would be fantastic. Please feel free to forward it to me. I'll be happy to help, because smart support for brighter independence happens because every step towards independence, no matter how small, is a step towards a fuller life.
And it also enhances the life of the caregivers because you realize that the battle was worth it. And, that there's just so much that this population has to offer all of us. It's been very rewarding for me to work in this field.
Fantastic.
So, um, I appreciate you coming today. It's really been fantastic having you. Yeah, I'd like to encourage everybody to send questions, and even if it wasn't exactly related to this, you might be a gateway to direct people in some other more practical things before they're ready for something like this. Because it's difficult to access, and so many parents are just following their gut, but really fighting hard at the cost of their own health. Um, so we are here every Saturday at the Holistic Nurse with Peggy Smith, and please reach out. I do answer all the comments and any questions, anything. We will direct them to our guests and follow up with you. David, it's been a pleasure having you today. I can't wait to see how this goes. I know it's only going to be nothing but positive. Um, but
Thank you so much.
good
It's been a
good
pleasure
luck.
being here.
Good luck with your family, and I hope your daughter does well on her MCAT because that's I'm sure I'm a little surprised she chose orthopedics, but that's just my own preference, with the healthcare field.
Well, it's
Um,
still early yet. I remind her that just because you're interested in it now doesn't mean that's where you're necessarily going to end up. And I'm okay. Wherever she ends up, she's going to do well, and we wish her all the best, and we're going to give her all the support that she needs.
well, that's wonderful, and you have a good week and good luck with this project. I will definitely be in touch with you shortly. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
All right, have a
This has been The Holistic Nurse with host Peggy Smith. Tune in each week where you're encouraged to send in questions and receive private responses and suggestions if appropriate. Here's Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern.